Hi Cancer, welcome to your reading for March 2019. Please set aside anything that you're doing so you're not multitasking and all of your attention is here with me for your reading. You'll get much more out of this reading if you participate by joining me in focusing in with me and tuning in while I shuffle and sending your energy over into the deck. Also, while I'm shuffling, if you could take a moment here to check in with your higher self and your guides and ask them to reach out to my higher self and my guides so that we can create a feedback loop to create an energetic pathway between us that will provide specifically tailored messages that are for you. Okay, Cancer. Those fell, so I'm going to take those because I think that's relevant. Now, Cancer, let's have a look here at your cards. First impression, I would have to say, when the cards were going down, I don't know if you can see this, but there's a lot of reversals. All but two from the main part of the spread are in reverse. So I would say that there could be some issues this month for you in regards to feeling like you're actually moving forward with things. I'm hearing delays. I'm hearing obstacles as well. Just give me a second here to tune in. I feel like there's one thing that jumps out at me about the spread, first of all, is that there's these two cards here, the Empress and the Queen of Pentacles, are both in the upright. These two cards are both in the upright position, and the energy of these two cards is quite similar. They both represent a very earthly, grounded, divine, feminine energy. There's something very mystical and beautiful about both the Queen of Pentacles and the Empress, in that they both have this kind of very, like I said, earthly presence, but there is something cosmically connected about them. I like both of these cards for that reason. So these two cards are both upright in your reading, and almost all the other cards are in reverse. So as I said, I felt like initially the first messages that came through that was that they may be experiencing some delays this month with, especially with work projects. I feel like that a lot of what this reading is about is mainly to do with your work and projects that have been ongoing, perhaps some collaborations that you're working on as well. I also feel that there is something here for some of you about wanting to start something new, and that there is delays regarding that as well. I feel like you might have some strong ideas and some really clear visions for something specific that you want to move forward with, but there is a little bit of a feeling of frustration here with not being able to actually make those first steps to actually being able to execute your idea. I'm not sure why that is. We may get some more clarity on that as we move through the reading. At the center of the reading, you have the Fool in reversed. Again, delays, some frustration with not being able to move forward with some things. There's a feeling here being that it's crossed by the Page of Pentacles. There could be, for some of you, that the delay may be being caused by waiting on someone else. You could be waiting for communication from someone else. You might be waiting for someone else to become available to work with you. You might be looking at a collaboration here of some kind, being that you know there's quite a few Pentacles cards in the reading here as well. There's the Ace, the Nine, the Ace, the Two, the Nine, the 8, the Page, and the Queen, and the 6. A lot of Pentacles cards here. So it does feel very much like this is a work-related reading for many of you. I feel also, you also have 3 2s here in the reading. I just noticed that. They're all on this half of the reading as well. The 2 of Swords is here. The 2 of Pentacles is here. Both of these are in reverse. And then the final outcome card is the 2 of Wands. And it's in an upright position with the 6 of Pentacles also upright. So, this feels to me like, again, either you're unable to make a decision because you're waiting for someone else. I feel that for some of you, you might be actually wanting to go into a business partnership with someone. That's what this feels like here. And I get the sense that it's partly the delay that you're feeling, maybe that the person that you're looking to partner up with is the one that has the money. And you're kind of waiting for their availability in order for you to move forward with what you need to do. And it feels like that person that you're waiting on may not quite be ready yet for reasons we don't yet know. Let's see if the cards will reveal. Now, this central axis of the reading here is very interesting. You have the Queen of Cups in reverse at the foundation, crowned by the Devil, with, as I said earlier, the Fool in reverse crossed by the Page of Pentacles at the center of the reading. Now, these 2 cards here, again, interesting. I feel that for some of you, I'm hearing emotional disturbance. The Devil in reverse can actually be a very positive card in a reading. It can sort of indicate that maybe there is some freedom or liberation or a type of illumination or understanding around certain types of attachments or dependencies, whether that's to people or substances or situations or behavior, habits and activities, such like that. So I feel in this regard there is a positive take on that, the Devil card being in the crowning card position of the reading in the reverse. I feel like for some of you, you may be overcoming some kind of difficulties with regard to emotional attachments to people. That's what this Queen of Cups here at the foundation could be speaking about. Also, given that you have the 7 of Wands here in the position of your hopes and fears, coupled with this Queen of Pentacles, I feel like the 7 of Wands in reverse it could indicate something similar to what this the Devil in reverse is saying, is that you're kind of letting go of you're putting down some of your I'm hearing maintenance. It's almost like there's like sometimes defensiveness or attachments and behaviors that have that kind of like rigidity to them or a kind of obstinacy to them are simply, you know, things that like we maintain certain things simply by being stubborn about our connection to those things, even if they've long outworn their meaningfulness or their usefulness, let's say. So I feel that for some of you, you could be actually coming through a time now where there is some kind of freedom from either an unhealthy behavioral pattern or some kind of a relationship which may have been unhealthy for you. There's some liberation there, I feel, for some of you. And that could also be what these 3 2s here are in this reading. There's like a feeling of like finally having let go for some of you, like a kind of holding on but not sure kind of feeling. Now I kind of feel to speak on these 2 cards that fell out earlier in the reading. This is the 10 of Wands upright with the 5 of Swords in reverse. I kind of feel like it's connected here to this topic that we're speaking about now with regard to habits and attachments. It does feel here like there is also like this sense of, again, letting go. Like, look at this character holding on this bundle of like, this is what I'm talking about with that like obstinacy of just maintaining certain behaviors and habits just because it's familiar and what you know, even though you know that it's not serving you, it's really uncomfortable, it's really unhealthy, it's a heavy burden to bear. And this 5 of Swords in reverse feels like there is a kind of clarity of mind that's come now where you realize that like you actually don't need to maintain those things for any reason at all. And that seems like, I feel like that's what the Queen of Pentacles here is saying in the middle of all this, is that like you can put down your habitual kind of behaviors, and you can put down even the stubbornness of mind. This doesn't have to be habits. This could just be ideas and thought patterns of like ways that you've been approaching certain issues that's kind of kept you in a sort of a loop. I feel there for some of you now, you're approaching a time where you're ready to let go of a lot of things, certain things that have had to do with the way you've been operating through life, whether it's in your work or in your relationships. I feel like you're kind of really close to the edge of like making a pretty big shift here with regards to moving on from certain things. And in doing so, you will enable yourself to make quite a large breakthrough and move into kind of a new era of your life where certain things don't hold you in a particular way anymore. There's a feeling of like freedom coming in here. Now, this central axis of the reading moving from past to present, 8 of Pentacles reversed, Fool reversed, crossed by Page of Pentacles, and 2 of Pentacles reversed. Yeah, again, I feel like this is speaking to a shift in your work, perhaps the starting of some new type of venture, a new type of business. That's what this Page of Pentacles could speak about here, being that this is the card this card crossing the center of the reading is actually what you are moving towards. It can be read as the challenge or as the opportunity. It could be an obstacle or something that you need to move towards. Sometimes it's the same thing. So I feel that here what it's describing is the desire to change your work or to change your either to start a new business or to change the way that you do certain things in your work life. And the need here, or the realization, the understanding that what that's going to require is a lot of patience and a commitment to a very like a process that's quite long. This is not an instant get rich quick gratification type of a plan that you're working on here. This is more about like a lifestyle choice. This is more like a long-term kind of I'm hearing deliverance. I don't know what that means. I feel like there is I think that for many of you, you may have come to understand that how you spend your time every day is the bulk of your life, and making changes now that you can activate and work towards throughout the entire course of your life is going to generate and facilitate a greater sense of well-being and happiness for you, that is much needed, I guess. So, you know, making it's almost like the feeling here is like, you know, it's not necessarily going to be easy, but that's not the point. You're not necessarily looking for easy. You're looking for satisfaction. You're looking for that sense of purposefulness. You're looking for a state of wellness within you, which is not necessarily, again, it's not necessarily about easy. It's not necessarily about a lot of money. State of wellness comes from that feeling of being in alignment with your true nature, with your personality, with your archetypes, and with a higher calling, and activating certain skill sets, or learning to work towards building certain skill sets in order to feel like you are challenging yourself in a healthy way to kind of do things that are, you know, feel important and interesting and meaningful for you, that activate certain sorts of like intelligence and creativity that makes you feel really like tested and challenged in a good way, you know, like in order to kind of get towards closer towards flow states, let's say. And in this shift that's happening, I haven't really spoken about this quadrant, but it's basically all of the things I've been saying. I feel like for some of you, there's been a sense of like growing discontent with the kind of way you have been doing certain things, and there's this feeling here of wanting to kind of change the way you look at things, or change the way you work towards your goals and dreams, so that you can actually feel a greater sense of fulfillment and contentedness, and in doing so kind of cultivate greater self-esteem and self-love, and also, you know, like move into a greater state of like authenticity. That's what this is about. These two cards together for me are saying like you really are striving now for greater authenticity and moving away from, you know, just going through the motions, let's say. Because these two cards here in this quadrant kind of describe, you know, maybe where you've been or what you've been doing in ways that's like, I mean, all these cards here at the bottom, including the Fool, it feels like there is this real strong urge here now to move towards like a new beginning where you feel like you're activating your creativity and your intellect, and you're doing things that feel much more in alignment with who you really are, your authentic self, and, you know, a movement away from just kind of whatever it is that you've been telling yourself, or whatever it is that you've been doing that you kind of think is okay or has been okay, when actually you feel like it's not really okay and it's not really working for you. So yeah, making this shift. And I feel, again, like for some, as I said, For some of you, I feel like you may be looking towards moving into a business partnership with someone, and there is this feeling here of some delay, or for some of you it's a hesitation for sure, like internally. It's not necessarily about you waiting for someone else to be ready. I think it's your own personal hesitation, that kind of moment before you actually make a big shift where you realize like you're actually taking quite a big risk and it's a little bit scary and you're not sure if it's actually the right thing. And I can't answer that for you. Certainly it's not my responsibility to tell you what you should do. All I can do is kind of describe this as sort of, this is a snapshot of what your energy is at right now. And it does, like I said, with all these twos here, it does feel like you're on the cusp of clarity, of making a decision. It feels like you already know what you want to do, but there is like that sense of hesitation, of holding back for fear of making a mistake, or the realization that you are actually taking kind of a risk here in moving out of something that's pretty safe and comfortable and shifting towards something that may be a little bit unknown and unsure for you. But you know, I think with hard work and dedication and practice and patience, all things are possible. But you know, you're not gonna, like, for example, if you have an interest in music, let's say, you're not gonna quit your job right now to start a career as a DJ, because that takes time. You know, be practical at the same time. That's what the Queen of Pentacles, I think, is saying. Like, be practical, do things in a logical, pragmatic kind of a way. Of course, like, dream big and visualize, but understand there is like a linear progression of steps that need to happen between reaching your goals and now, and you need to be thoughtful and consider the reality before making massive leaps and changes that may not be, like, you may not be able to account for just yet. Okay, let's have a look at the bottom of the deck. Knight of Wands in reverse, Queen of Swords in reverse, Four of Cups in reverse, and the World. I feel that for some of you there is this feeling like, yeah, you're close to the end of a cycle and you're ready to shift out of something and move on. But with the Knight of Wands and the Queen of Swords here, both showing up again in reverse, with also this Four of Cups in reverse, I don't know, these cards here, and I mean, I didn't really feel it so strongly with the main part of the reading, but seeing these 4 cards here now, I feel the energy feels very much like really frustrating, very, very impatient. It's a kind of impatient energy here that I feel. It's like you really want to close this cycle out and make steps into the new thing that you want to be doing, but it feels like for whatever reason, there's all these reversals here. I feel like the message to pass on here is just patience. I think you can't force the tide right now. I think you need to just like take a moment to kind of sit back and relax into whatever it is that you're experiencing, even if you don't want to be right there where you are, but just like take a moment to kind of take it all in, because I feel like in the next month or the next months, like in the next part of the year, things could get quite busy for you, and I think it's a moment here to relax and actually enjoy like the kind of quietness for a minute. I feel that's it for the general reading, Cancer. Let me just check over, make sure there's nothing that I've missed. Let's take the Voyager deck now and have a look at your higher octave reading. This is going to give us a little bit more insight into what's happening on a karmic and spiritual level. Hopefully it will provide a little bit of advice as to how to work with the energies available to us to make the most of the opportunities that we are being presented with. So while I'm shuffling, please, again, send your energy over into the deck so I can get really clear messages for you. Yeah. And let's see what the Voyager deck has to offer. Four of Worlds, crossed by the Three of Wands, Nine of Worlds reversed, Sage of Wands, Two of Wands reversed, Six of Worlds. So these 2 cards here are the same 2 cards that you had here in the outcome. Three of Cups upright, Eight of Wands, Four of Crystals, Ace of Cups reversed, Man of Worlds reversed, the Star, Ten of Crystals reversed, and the Ace of Crystals. So a lot more upright cards in this reading, mostly upright cards here, and it's a much more clear energy, I would say. There is like a lot of inspiration here. I feel like the first reading had kind of like a little bit of a, as I said, a frustration, like an energy of frustration in it. This is much more clear energy. It does feel a lot more like, yes, you're ready to make changes. Yes, you're at kind of like a cusp moment of like things really shifting into a new direction for you. But it feels a lot more clear and a lot more patient. There is a feeling here of like readiness. That's what I'm getting here. It's like readiness to move on, but also like clarity of understanding that there is like kind of steps to be taken. You have, there's 2 4s there in the reading. There's 2 aces. Okay, let's start here at the beginning. And there's also 2 3s. So in the at the heart of the reading, you have the 4 of Worlds crossed by the 3 of Wands. The crowning card is the 9 of Worlds, and the foundation card is the Sage of Wands. So what I feel is here is, again, like this moment where it's almost like that, just that tiny amount of inertia that you get before you slingshot into the next thing that's happening. So there's this understanding here, like at the foundation you have this Sage of Wands, which kind of is describing that in the unconscious mind there is a real clarity of vision. There's a kind of fiery energy of impulses towards certain ventures that you feel really passionate and strongly about. And then at the crowning card you have this 9 of Worlds. It's in reverse here, but it's the same as this. It's the same. This is the same card. So these 2 cards here are repeating again. There's actually a few repeating cards in the spread. I feel that what this is describing here is that it's almost like what you want to move towards are things that will make you feel like you're more in alignment with your true nature, and that in itself is kind of like a self-affirming, self-loving act of moving more into a space of authenticity, of being more genuine, being more true, more honest, more in alignment, as I said, with, you know, who you really feel you are, like as far as the archetypes that you carry, and the kind of work that you feel called to do that feels like it's in alignment with like your passions and your dreams. And yeah, the outcome cards here are Ace of Cups with the Man of Worlds, and this is called Ecstasy and Achiever. So that's kind of what I just described. It's like going in the direction of things that make you feel like alive, and those are the things that you want to move towards, kind of in a sense of like being passionate about something that you want to achieve, or something that you want to express, or goals that you want to reach, to make you feel like you are again like in alignment with your true nature, that you're working towards the things that you're here to achieve, that you're here to express and share with the rest of humanity, let's say. Hopes and fears position, you have the Star with the 4 of Crystals. I feel what this is describing is that, yes, there is a clarity of like the direction to take. The Star here is like that feeling of, you know, a higher calling or a higher power, and a sort of alignment with a kind of cosmic order. And the 4, being here with the 4 of Crystals, this is the kind of feeling I had when I was describing that moment of like a little bit of inertia before being slingshot out into the cosmos. So I feel like in this position of the hopes and fears, it does kind of feel like there is that moment of the calm before the storm, but that it's kind of like this feeling of inevitability of actually doing all the things that you know you want to do. And it's very exciting, but there's also like, it's exciting and it kind of could make you feel nervous, but there's this kind of calm knowing that comes with that. All of the cards in this spread have that feeling of like calm assurance of there being kind of no doubt or no resistance or no kind of no obstacles in the way of you actually achieving all the things that you have in your heart that you're setting out to do here. There is this feeling here of being in harmony with the flow of things. That 8 of Wands is like that clarity of activation, being in synchronicity with all things and moving in the right direction at the right time. It's paired here with the 10 of Crystals in reverse, which is kind of feeling a little bit like, yeah, there is this moment here where there's something that, again, there's some loose ends to tie up, some closure needs to happen. Mostly it has to do with some ideas, and it could again be connected to what we spoke about in the first reading with regard to the Devil card being reversed, something to do with ideas, thoughts, habits, rituals, patterns, people even, that you have attachments to that you've outgrown. And this is just a moment here where it's just a second of like acknowledging that person or that thing's role, the role that it's had in your life, and offering gratitude for it, and then kind of like setting it free. This may or may not be a communication that you need to have with a person, but it's more about like an internal dialogue that you have, and achieving a sort of clarity of mind that will enable you to actually move forward with less baggage. Let's see what else is here. I feel that, as I said, this reading feels a lot more clear. There is this feeling of assurance and confidence that's coming out with these cards here. A feeling of being really connected to your divine order, and to kind of like your personal kind of matrix, like feels like in alignment with all things, with the greater whole. And there's a lot of love there. There's a clarity of mind here with the Brilliance card, the Ace of Crystals showing up. You have the Ace of Cups as well there in the reading. And then across this central axis of the reading, you have Two of Wands in reverse and the Six of Worlds in the outcome. So I feel that, and these two cards are actually the same, as I said, the same two cards that you had in the outcome position of the previous reading. So I feel the message that's here is that I'm hearing all systems go. There is, as I said, a feeling of synergy, of synchronicity, of things being aligned and everything being in divine order. And it's just simply about you kind of cooperating with the energy and moving forward in a way that feels very graceful and aligned and clear, and sort of staying out of the way in a sense, like minimizing any kind of resistance by like setting down any confusion that you might have, or like being in a state of calm, like working on yourself from that place, like rather than trying to do things in the external world. I think there's an understanding here that it all starts from within, and if you kind of activate that space within you where you kind of put your energy and attention on having your quiet meditative time, and like being clear internally, and working with any kind of emotional states that come up, and bringing awareness to those things when you do feel any kind of resistance or any kind of self-doubt or lack of confidence or inauthenticity, that you tackle those things rather than trying to tackle any issues that happen in the externalized world. It's more of like you realize and understand where the truth of those externalized issues may be coming from, and you find those places and work with that energy rather than trying to change the whole outside world. It's like doing the internal work here to keep things kind of moving and keep the energy clear and like, yeah, moving. Let's have a look at the bottom of the deck. Another 4 here, 4 of Wands. Another 2, 2 of Worlds. Both of those are in reverse. Man of Cups in reverse and Sage of Crystals in reverse. That's kind of what I was just describing here. Like this 4 of Wands reverse with the 2 of Worlds reverse. It is this, and again, you had both of those cards in the previous reading. I do feel that there is, that basically is, these cards just describe exactly what I just said with regards to kind of tackling any issues that come up. Like when things come up in the outside world that feel like resistance or obstacles or challenges or any kind of like blockages or whatever, this is kind of describing that the work to do is actually to go within, like locate the issue in your emotional body or in your mind, and see where it is that you are actually creating those obstacles or those blockages or that stubbornness or those resistance or in your internal space, and kind of work with the energy from inside, and then you'll see the landscape of the world outside of you adjust accordingly. So putting your energy more on your meditative spaces, on listening to what your mind is actually saying, and really filtering and editing any kind of self-sabotaging talk or any kind of negative self-talk, and that is the place to kind of work, to kind of focus your energy in order to create the shift that you're looking for in your external world. Okay, let's just check over here and see what else there is. This card popped out when I was shuffling. It's called 8 of Cups. It's called Stagnation in this deck. So I feel that this is your urge right now, is to overcome like a feeling of a stagnancy perhaps in your life. Maybe some of you are feeling a little bit like really ready for a change, really ready to sink your teeth into something new. And I would say what I just kind of described there with these extended cards is extremely relevant to that, in that whatever resistance you feel in the external world is about is about what you're thinking, what you're feeling, and what your inner dialogue is telling yourself. So this is about shining a light on your internal psyche, in your emotional space, in your mental field, and really listening and not letting your mind run away with things and kind of creating havoc for you by just being kind of like an untrained puppy, right? This is about you adjusting and recalibrating and sorting and editing and deleting things that are not true, things that are self-sabotaging, things that are hindering your progress or creating obstacles or limitations for you, and focus your energy on those things in order to see the shift in your outside, in your externalized world, in your relationships, in your work, in your family life, etc. But as I said, a lot of positive energy, feeling very clear here actually in this higher octave spread. A feeling of clarity and a feeling of readiness is here. So I'm wishing you all the best for this month. Cancer, thank you so much for watching. It's an honor and a pleasure to read for you. I hope you enjoyed that and found that helpful. Thank you for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. And also hit the notification bell if you'd like to know when new readings are being uploaded. You can get that in your inbox. Do watch that again. There's a lot of information there. And you might find that watching it again towards the end of the month and giving it another review after certain events have unfolded, this might make a lot more sense to you. It may not make any sense at all right now, but give it another watch through. There's a lot of information in there. So, yeah, thank you so much for watching it, and I'll see you next month's reading.